So, word of warning to you guys right here, right now. This will be a video based on the fire that was in my street the other day. If you don't want to watch, that's perfectly fine. But I'm not showing you this because I want to make fun of it. I'm not showing you this because of anything like that. I'm showing you this because I know for a fact that nobody died. While a dog did die in the fire, no human died in the fire. So I feel comfortable to share this with you guys, and I'm sharing it with you to show you how dangerous a house fire can be and how close this fire got to pretty much blowing up my street. Hey guys, welcome back to the show, welcome back to the diary. So again, this is a very sensitive topic and a very sensitive situation. Again, while nobody did die in the fire except for a dog, this is not to poke fun, this is not to do anything nasty like that or anything. House fires are very, very dangerous. For a long time after 9/11, I had a big fear of house fires because of how dangerous they are. This knows, since that time and since I was a bit silly and throwing my jumper around the kitchen after lighting a candle, having that jumper land on the candle and then boom, my nose has been pretty kind of strong to the smell of fire. So smelling this fire at 3:45 in the morning, looking out my window, seeing nothing, seeing no road, seeing no buildings, just thick white fog, but also with the smell of burning wood, burning fabric. I knew straight away that that wasn't fog, that was something else, that was smoke or something. So I run into my mum, who was asleep. So I'm like, Mum, and she's like, what? And I'm like, fire. There's a fire. So we go outside into the smoke, and a couple of the neighbours are saying that it's in behind the Chinese. So my mum's banging on the Chinese across the road going, get up, wake up, get out, you're on fire, and everything like that. So with my neighbour's call, my call, and everything, we got the fire brigade down at probably just the right time, because the fire guys had stated that this was a very tricky and very persistent fire. It was taking a while to go out, and it was being very the word they used was, I think the word they used was challenging. That was it. The word they used was challenging. This fire was taking a long time for them to go out. The fire guys were here from 4 a.m. until about 9 a.m. I think the last fire truck left at 9:30, 10 o'clock that morning. And I just want to show you a couple of pictures that I took that happened recently. So here's one of the pictures that I took from around the corner and on another street. So as you can see, the windows are really well lit up, they're really bright, and they're really orange. I don't know what this is all about at the minute. I mean, I want to say that that's a part of it, but I also don't, considering hearing what the fire guys were saying was that it had sort of contained itself in the building and in the house, but it was threatening to spread, but that it had managed to contain itself for the most part. With the flash on as well. We've got these. But no, as I said, I didn't want to show you these pictures to laugh at this or anything like that. I want to just show you how bad it could have been and how close everything was to being worse than it is or worse than it was. Because, like I said, while a dog did die in the fire, there was no human deaths or anything like that. The only big thing about it in terms of people was that there is one guy who did get sent to hospital because he'd breathed in so much of the smoke. So that's the only big thing coming out of this. Here we have another one. By this point, I think this was a few moments after the majority of the flames at the top had been put out or subsided down, dropped down, because a few moments earlier one of my neighbours had stated that they could see the flames licking up from this area and everything like that, but you can see that it's just smoke here, and you can see the water that they're using to put it out and everything else. This one is where the police have cordoned off the alleyway that goes down in behind this building, the Chinese over the road from me, and the building next to it as well, that overlooks the garden of that row of buildings where the fire was. The reason why the police cordoned this off was because shortly before they put the tape across, the residents of the Chinese building had told them that they have a gas canister in their back garden or in the basement near the back garden, near enough to the fire that if the fire had spread, that was gonna go bang, and anyone down the alleyway would have known about it first and wouldn't have been able to run away quick enough to tell anyone else about it. So they roped that off because the Chinese guys were standing down at the bottom of that alleyway just looking at the fire, like, and everything, so they stopped that. There was 5 to 6 fire engines in attendance of this fire. This is the alleyway when I went down. If I'd gone down a bit further, I could have been able to see past this balcony that is at the back of that neighbour's house that is just on the alleyway. This is where they kind of sit, this is where they are, and they've got kind of like parking underneath here too for them. But if I'd gone a bit further down to be able to see past this, I'd have been able to get a picture of the flames licking up out of the roof that's behind this place, because coming down during the daylight hours, you could see where the fire was, you could see the skylight windows had been kind of burnt through and everything, so the flames would be licking up and coming out and everything. Here is one of the first pictures that I took. As you can see all of the smoke plumage. That was one thing that confused me. When I first smelt it at 3:45 in the morning, I was there like, what's that? Is that my kit? Is my stuff hot? I looked, found out that my stuff was fine, so I looked out the window, couldn't see the floor, couldn't see these buildings, couldn't see anything but thick white, what looked like fog, but because I had the smell of a fire as well, my entire body and my mind knew that it wasn't fog, it was smoke. So I ran into my mum and just like I said, just woke her up, just fire sort of thing. And it was about then that I had my phone in hand, because I was playing games and I was in party with some friends, So I had my phone in hand trying to ring for the fire brigade, not realising that I still had these connected. My wireless Bluetooth headphones connected, which I had left on my desk up here in my room. So finding out that that was still connected while trying to ring and not getting anything in general, I hung up, disconnected my Bluetooth, and rang again. No one's going to have a go at you for this. No one's going to have a go at you for calling and not answering. As long as when you do call again, or if you are going to call again, you make sure that what you're calling for, I mean, I want to say that you're calling for a good reason or anything, but you should only be calling the emergency services for a good reason as it is. But when I called the fire brigade and I got through to them, when I called the emergency services, I asked for the fire brigade, and that was all I asked for at that point in time, because you don't want to go confusing the situation at that point, because the emergency services, whether it's 911 or 999 for here in the UK, you'll get asked which one do you need. Ask for the most important one, the one that's the most serious. If you've got a fire and you're asking for the police, you're going to get a load of raised eyebrows at the other end on the police line. You want to call for the most important thing first. Then when you get through, you can ask for other services to come to as well if you think that it's needed. So when I got through to the fire guys, I was saying, I need a fire truck, I need the fire brigade, ambulance, police, and maybe an ambulance to my house, to my number, because there's a fire on my street. Now, it's my call, and my neighbour on this side of the building, not this side. On this side of the street, not this side. That I'm grateful for, because the first call that went through, the woman who was operating the lines at the other end in the centre hub had mistook the street. So when I heard one street, my heart kind of sunk. So I said, could you check both, please, because my street is filled with smoke. There's smoke billowing down the entire street. And when she heard that, I think she understood that it was genuinely on my street. Because to have thick smoke on the street and have it just billowing down the road and going all through the street, that there had to have been something on that street or near that street for it to be a thing. If you are getting someone on the other end of the phone saying things like, this is not an emergency, your emergency is not where you are located, we've had a call for this place, for the most part, that kind of wording is not allowed to be used. If you have someone on the other end of the phone talking to an emergency service and they say things like, your emergency is not where you're located, they are not allowed to say that. They are allowed to ask, are you sure it's located here? We've had the call for this place. They're allowed to say things like that because they have a lot of hope schools and things like that, but they are not allowed to deny you the emergency services coming out if you are calling the emergency number, because anytime they deny something coming out, whether it's fire or ambulance, there is a life at risk at that point in time. Police is a bit different, purely because most crimes, unless you state straight away that the person causing or committing the crime is armed, then there isn't so much of a big risk to life. But with a fire or diabetic response or anything like that, there is an immediate risk to life if someone's in either end of that diabetic strain. So they can't deny coming out at all. So persist, stay calm, don't get angry with them, they're only doing their job. If they question, just say, yes, I can see the fire myself, I'm looking at it now. Or, yes, this is what I feel this is an appropriate call to the emergency services because I don't know what to do. I feel like if I hadn't have called, something bad would happen. You are not in the wrong for calling the emergency services if you can see a fire that you don't think should be there, or you see some old person fall over, or you see or have a family member in either end of the diabetic strain shock, or I just can't remember what it's called, but any kind of reaction for diabetes, you are perfectly in your right to call the emergency services. And if an operator on the other end is having a go at you, please just bear in mind that they may have had numerous hoax calls that day and that operator is just tired and angry. Persist and say things like, I understand if you may have had hoax calls today, but this is not a hoax call. I genuinely feel that my phone call is justified. I genuinely feel that this is a risk to life here. If you don't want to send someone out, that's fine, but can you at least give me some advice on what to do now, sort of thing. And any emergency service operator is, by technically, I want to say by law, but I'm not 100% sure, but they are obliged to handle that request. They have to allow you that request if you say, I understand if you don't want to send anyone out because you don't think it's worth it, but give me some advice, please, or can you give me some advice because I'm scared, I don't know what to do. The second you say, I'm scared, I don't know what to do, they will take you seriously. So if, with autism and everything, if you state that you weren't sure what other number to call, you can turn around and say, sorry, I'm autistic, I don't know every single number that I can call. 999 is the first one that I thought of. I'm scared, I think something serious is happening. If it's wrong, I'm sorry, but please tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. No one's going to have a go at you for that. The operator on the other end of the phone should not then turn around and start having a go at you for that. You should be fine. But this picture, you can see, this is one of the first pictures I took. This is one of the first 2 fire trucks that arrived. And you can see the smoke plumage. And you can see what I mean by, I said thick, white, fog type smoke. This just looks like fog. But with the smell as well, it's quite acridly, it smelled like a bonfire. And when I went down the alleyway, hearing the crackles, the pops and everything, it sounded like a bonfire. I even said to the police officer that came down the alleyway, saying, now I get his response because he was probably having a bit of a bad day and he's probably been called out from his bed because of what time it is and everything like that, so he might have been having a bit of a bad night. But I said to him, looks like a bit of a bonfire, doesn't it? It's like, looks like a bonfire from here. It's like, just as a statement, I knew that it was a house fire. Everyone on the street knew it was a house fire. But me stating, looks like a bonfire, and then him turning around going, nah, we've been told it's a house fire. Sorry. Just trying to make a comment. So, at that point in time, I don't think my comment kind of fell at the right time on the right ears. Oopsie. No, I wasn't making that comment to make fun of it or anything like that. I was just pointing out the strangeness to it, because for the most part, most house fires will produce thick black smoke. And whether it's this white foggy smoke or the thick black stuff, you don't want to go be breathing it in. You don't want to be breathing in any kind of house fire smoke at all. Smoke inhalation is really, really bad. It takes 2 breaths, 2 lungfuls of that air to knock you out. If you breathe in a house fire smoke, like proper full on gulp it in, and you're doing that twice, you will find yourself passing out, because it's that deadly, that strong. But here we go, here's another fire engine that arrived as well, and there's another one down here as well. So the other 2, because there's 3 there, 1 there, and there was about 5 to 6 of them that had been called up or were in attendance. The other 2 were down the alleyway, might as well show you the first one, down this road here, because this building, this one is touching the building that it was in. The building it was in is just around the corner on here, so you can see a lot of the smoke in this one is coming out of the roof, and after it had been put out, or it was getting close to being put out, we did spot a lot of the smoke coming out of the tiles from that roof, and we were a bit concerned. Talking to the fire guys about it, house fires can do stuff like that. House fires will circulate smoke around for the most part, most of the time it will. And that's basically what happened there. Because the buildings were connected, it kind of just circulated itself into that roof space and came out through the tiles like that. So we were a bit concerned that the fire had spread to the roof, but obviously with thermal imaging or heat sense cameras, the fire guys would just look at the roof and be like, that's a lot of smoke, but then put the thermal imaging up to it and be like, nah, there's no fire in there, it's all good, it's all clear, sort of thing. Here we go. So these are the pictures of the building that was on fire after the fire had been put out. So it's daylight now. This is like 7, 8 a.m. now. And whew, that thing's gutted. And it's still smoking at 7, 8 in the morning. Yeah, there's not a lot left of that building. And the fire guys say that it started in the basement down here somewhere. So this has been converted into like 3 or 4 different flats. So there's like one in the basement, one about here, one here, with maybe this floor being added to this as well, and then the attic space has been converted into a flat too. So there was quite a few people living in there. For the most part, most of them were out and not in the house at the time, but there was one guy that had been taken to the hospital with smoke inhalation. So yeah, there was some level of people being injured. I mean, personally, smoke inhalation, I don't necessarily see that as being injured, but then I technically see scratches, burns, and things like that as being injured rather than smoke sitting on the lungs. But then smoke sitting on the lungs is a part of being injured. So yeah, there were a few injuries, but nothing major, no deaths on the human side, which is, like I said, it's why I was comfortable in showing you these guys this, and I'm not here to do anything nasty or laugh or anything like that, but yeah. So those are the pictures that I took from the fire, and again, I'm not showing you these because I want to poke fun at it or scare you or anything. I wanted to show you how bad it was, how dangerous this could have been, and everything else in between. And I do feel sorry for the owners of the dog that died in the fire, but I know that everyone personally will be okay, and is okay, and that life will get back to normal, but it will take time. But no, that's it for me today, guys. No light-hearted stuff today now, but that's it for me, and I'll see you on Monday. See ya.
Put a little bit of shit, put a little bit of shit, put a little bit of shit, get a little bit of gasoline. Welcome to another crime scene. Get a little bit of gasoline. Welcome to another crime scene.